Hello, and welcome to the Weekly Scroll Podcast. My name is Ryan.
And I'm Sid.
Hello, I am Stella Condrey, coming at you live from the internet.
And I am Christian Sorrell, aka Meatcastle.
Go. Oh, let me hide this real quick. Boom. And today we're playing Tacticians of Ahm, written by some guy. Some guy. Yeah. So if you've listened to the show at all, watched before, you've known that we have talked about Tacticians of Ahm. We've had Christian here, who is some guy, talking about this game. It was Whatsy funded. I love calling it that. Wolves Upon the Coast style, itch funded, and blew up a bit ago. You can still go get it, still go back it, still go support it. But Christian, why don't you tell us all about Tacticians of Ahm and how we can play this game?
Yeah, Tacticians of Ahm was the short version of how it came to be. Was that I really love tactics video games, and I really like tactical, like grid combat, like your traditional D&D combat. But I was in a long running campaign where we got to like characters being like level 12, level 13, and then every fight, in order to be challenging, had to take 4 or 5 hours, sometimes multiple sessions for bigger, like more climactic fights. And it was literally me internally doing the infomercial, there's gotta be a better way thing. So this is that. This is Tacticians of Ahm is me sort of taking grid combat and saying, how can I streamline as many things out of it and down as possible to keep the cool feeling of like, we had the perfect plan, or I got exactly into the right position to land this strong attack, and then removing the sort of like bad parts of that, like wasted turns that feel wasted. You didn't have a choice. You're stunned for 3 turns. You just have to sit at the table for 40 minutes while it goes around. So yeah, it has almost no die rolling. You only roll dice for checks, which happen very infrequently. And then everything else is like set damage, set movement, like exactly what you're going to do. Even things like being slowed and stunned still leave you with something to do or a choice to make. So that's really the like design thing around it. And then the setting is that it is sort of set in this dying video game world. You aren't characters in the real world who've gone into a video game. You are just essentially everyone in the game plays NPCs from a video game standpoint, right? Like your characters are just people existing within this world. It's all the real world to them, but things are starting to corrupt and break down as this, cartridge is getting old and dying, or this old MMO server shard that no one plays anymore is like just sitting and corrupting in a forgotten server farm, that kind of thing. And yeah, that really at the table, that means we can lean into or out of sort of video game tropes as much as we want. In the actual text, I make that where it can be like, I find sometimes with groups in games, you have a lot of that, like, really this fight is just going to pop off, but that like takes 45 minutes for you to get into it because everyone's kind of gaming or not gaming. And sometimes you want to have that open, like to do it, but other times you just want to be like, battle music plays, we're into the battle screen, and it's a whole different game. So it kind of embraces the thing that a lot of games try not to, which is like really in a game like D&D, combat and out of combat play almost entirely differently. And this is just saying that's okay. So it's very light, very like, let's just embrace our own imagination and the world and whatever. And when we're out of it, really, it's just checks and saves. And then when you're in combat, it's a streamlined tactical thing. So that's kind of the spiel of the game. But ideally, we're going to go through the sort of beginnings of the starter adventure today. And that's currently in the version that's out on itch. And it's sort of, imagine the tutorial section of a video game is pretty much what we're going to play through. Some quick tutorial fights, see how fast those go, and then get into sort of the beginning possibly of like a little bit of an open world travel section, all things that are going to blow out over time. But yeah, like you said earlier, it's on itch. As I'm adding to it, I'm raising the price. It's $20 right now. It gets you the starter adventure, the rule book, and all future things as it gets developed. So if you buy in now, you basically get all the stuff in the future, which this next update that hopefully will be out by Friday is going to add the first open world section from the 3rd book, which is the Ahmian Almanac. That's very much going to be like a setting book, but it's adding like classes and abilities and factions and equipment. And the idea is to have it be as lore light and as usable stuff heavy as possible. So
Cool.
Nice.
that's
I'm
the
stoked
spiel.
for that. That's gonna be awesome.
Can't wait. Glad we got in early here on the Weekly Scroll.
Now let's kill some things. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll go through character creation real quick. Kind of the core of the whole game really is it is very much like, you know, when you start, it's going to be pretty simple. It's going to be, you could start, if you play 2 campaigns of this, you could pick a fighter, and at the very beginning, those very first few fights, you're going to be very similar. But then as you develop out, you should be able to branch and develop in a bunch of different ways. So I'll run through the character creation right now with everybody. The first big thing is you're going to take 1 level in any of the starting classes. And the ones in the core book are mage, fighter, rogue, and cleric. That's the other one. And really what that is going to do, it's going to determine your base attack. You have like a base attack pattern that you always have access to. You have weapon attacks that's like your equipment that you buy, and then you have abilities. So the class you choose, you're going to take 1 ability in that you can use in combat. You're going to have a base attack, and then your other stats like your health and damage are all built off of that class. But there's no rolling characters, essentially. You're just picking.
Deals.
And I can scroll through. Well, I mean, I know you guys aren't seeing what I'm seeing, but like Ryan, if you scroll through some of it or can show people at home will get an idea of what the attack patterns and things like that look like. Like for the fighter, it's sort of like they always have a really broad slash. The cleric has sort of like a diagonal attack. The rogue has a just straight in front of them, but it does twice as much damage attack, those kind of things.
And the mage doesn't have one.
Yes, and the mage doesn't have a base attack, but they do get to take 2 abilities at level 1.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Is so-called friendly fire on?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, friendly fire is on. So if you use an ability or an attack, anything in the red will take damage. If you're fighting a big enemy that takes up, like, say it's a 2x2 enemy on the grid, both of those squares do damage. So you deal bigger damage. It's easier to hurt bigger things more generally. And same with healing and anything like that. If you have a big heat, it might be worth dropping a group, like an area of effect heal, to bring 2 of your party members back up. But you might also heal an enemy in the middle of that. But yeah. So things to consider for sure. Because some like there's a fighter ability that's whirlwind that does damage to every single square around you.
That's exactly what I was looking at.
Yeah. And I'm like, but that could be tough depending on what kind of the map situation looks like to make sure you're not harm to your friends. But yes. Let me know if you have any questions.
I think I know what I'm going to do. I am the party fighter, and I think the ability I'm going to take, despite whirlwind being so enticing, I think I'm going to take lunge as my thing. Yeah,
lunge is a very good one. All the abilities for all the classes are open from the get-go. As you progress, the idea is you're going to be not only gaining just new abilities, not necessarily tied to your class, tied to things in the world. You're going to be able to pick more of these as you go. And in combat, each ability is one-time use. And while that seems pretty limiting, it's really because the whole game, if I've done my work right, is built around, like, most combats don't take more than 3 rounds. Like, even tougher, higher level ones should go quick. So it should be really about you making the smartest choices, the most advantageous choices you can in a moment for you from, like, a toolkit, rather than it feeling like you're just whiffing and running out. The one other thing I'll mention is the rolling component that does exist and is kind of the bigger focus of the out of combat role play mechanically, is you have things called aptitudes, which are sort of like your traditional RPG stats, where it's strength, tenacity, knowledge, and there's one more that I'm spacing because we're on stream, of course. Strength, alacrity, tenacity, and knowledge, which is pretty much what you'd think, like smashing, lifting stuff for strength, dodging and bouncing for alacrity, resisting things, trying to survive, any constitution-like things for tenacity. And then knowledge is, can I read this language? Can I try to jury rig some contraption?
Right.
Those kind of things.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. And you can use those in combat also. Like I don't want it to feel limited like a board game and a video game. So you can say like, I want to try to do this. You roll an aptitude check. It's sort of the tactician seeing that the world is breaking and them being like, can I push against the boundaries of the world to make this thing happen that doesn't exist normally within the combat. But yeah, so you do also get a bonus for your class levels to those things. It's a D20 system. It's roll under. Yeah.
I might switch abilities because I have Seeker Shot and Warp. But I feel like if I can only use each one once and I have no basic attack, I might take another more violence-focused spell.
Well, do we just want to...
I will say the next step is going to be to take gear. So you could, Hunter on a mage, spend some of your starting gold to buy a weapon, and then you'll be like, cool, I always have a sword, or I have a dagger. So you will have an attack you can always use as many times as you want, but you just don't have that inherent extra option.
Okay.
But sorry, what were you saying, man?
Well, I was gonna say so you have like in the book here the creative tacticians like all numbered and stuff. Do you just want to run through that, pick our stuff, and that way the people watching know how kind of quick and easy this is?
Yeah, so it really does just start with that. You're taking one level in any eligible class that we talked about. Then you're going to record your base health and speed, which are dictated by that class. Speed is just a number like typically 1 to 5, 1 to 6. That is how many squares on the grid you can use. You can move when we get into combat. Then you're going to adjust your aptitude values. Like I said, each class gives you certain bonuses. All your aptitudes start at 8, and then you're going to add a bonus per class level to that. So, if you're a fighter, well, you're going to get a bonus to your strength. So your starting strength is going to go from an 8 to a 9. And then that next option was what I just mentioned, which is everybody has 25 gold to spend in the equipment list, the weapon, armor, equipment list, however they like, to sort of show what their tactician has gathered and earned through their time in the academy of sort of training to become a tactician.
Oh.
And then everything else is just flavor after that. You're doing, quick descriptor of your appearance, personality, name, those kind of things. And that's all as open as you want it to be. The thing I've told people when I play is like, I really liked the moment in Chrono Trigger when a frog knight shows up.
Yeah.
And then I liked it less when you found out that he was cursed. I just wanted there to be frogs occasionally in the world, that kind of thing. So this is really leaning into that. Like it is heroic. It's a heroic game in the way that it's generally assumed your person is even begrudgingly good of heart in some way. But you could be a skeleton that a necromancer brought back to life, and you were too good of soul to get turned, and you just walked away and joined the tacticians, that kind of thing. So you could be any size or shape you want to be.
I'm an automaton named Esmond, so
well, you're not what was it, Gold's Tide?
I am Gold's Tide in that's right. I did say my name is
You did say Gold's Tide.
Okay,
Gold's is a good name for an automaton. You can say you're like
Gold's Tide. Yeah, sorry, I just rolled it out absentmindedly. Because it's there,
Yeah.
Good name list though.
And you said you're our mage.
I am. Little blaster caster,
Yeah. I think that the weapon I'm going to start out with is a bow, because I reckon a little bit of range would be useful. Although I guess we can be a little bit abstract with what gear I have, because I realize the base ability of the fighter is pretty much the same as a sword.
Yeah. I mean, and that's where like it's like lean into the video game thing. Like even if in your inventory in the game it doesn't say like long sword, it's still like, oh, in a cutscene your guy might just pull a sword out and cut someone down. That's kind of the idea. Is like you always have your A button attack is always that broad swipe, and then you're equipping these bonus things. So yeah, it is abstracted a bit, as much or as little as you'd like, I suppose.
In that case, my main weapon, I think, is a chainsaw. Just because, why not? You know.
I got a spear. I'm a spear boy. You know.
Mm-mm.
And yeah, so for that, there's like a number for the equipment. While you all are going through that, there's a number of additional weapons, which weapons you can use as many times as you want in combat. Sort of that same idea. They should be adding something to your toolkit. They're probably not going to be as powerful or effective generally as abilities, especially just these sort of base weapons. Magic weapons and corrupted weapons can get pretty powerful down the line. And then there's armor, which this uses inventory slots for like tracking inventory. So armor eats up some of your inventory slots, but increases your health. Shields are also pretty valuable, I would say. So a shield, depending on the type of shield it is, blocks a certain amount of damage once per battle. So like if you were going to get hit and downed, you can be like, I block it with my shield, and you just don't negate that amount of damage. And then there's all your other little, typically more out of combat things like adventuring gear and stuff like that you would expect from a fantasy RPG.
Yeah, makes sense.
So you said classic. Well, in the character creation list, we start with 25 gold.
Yeah.
So we're not starting with armor or anything. That's already too much money for us.
It's 25 is going to be pretty thin. You could spend all of it on like leather armor, the lowest armor.
Yeah. What about a shield? Is that a thing that we can take?
Yeah, right, there's a wooden shields at 10.
Where am I? Oh, I'm dumb. Listen, I'm dumb. For those watching, it's right here in front of everyone's face. Let me highlight it for you. Boom, wooden shield. Yeah, so I'm going to go with... So for flail, we're saying that's the flail that's like attached to a chain, not like a Morning Star, kind of like attached to the Morning Star situation, right?
Yeah, that's the idea, is that it would be on a chain. But I mean, we can
flavor it, however.
Divvy from that as much as possible. That's just the attack pattern you get with it.
I'm gonna go with this goofy attack pattern. I'm gonna go with the old flail. I'm gonna go with the old flail and shield. And do we just get one weapon to start, right?
Yeah, you have one weapon slot. You could spend on more, but you can't. You would have to use an action to switch weapons in combat.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna go with the flail.
But typically, you're trying to build your kit, for lack of a better term, around your base attack, your equipped weapon, and your other things.
Cool. All right.
And then, beyond that, like I said, just naming everything, and then we can jump right into it.
Yeah, I got my character sheet here.
The little grids. I love the grids. In case you can't tell, I love the grids.
We're big grid heads here. We love
heavy gritty.
Yeah, we love the grid iron. We love gritty. We love other things with grids. I don't know. That's about all I can think of with grids. But regardless, big fan of grids.
Yeah.
All right. Is everyone still pondering? It's totally fine if you are.
No,
I'm ready.
Pondered.
All right. Well, then, let's go around right now and see. So the sort of premise of the adventure, which is going to continue to grow as the development of the game goes on, but it's called Early Graduation. And the premise is that you all are nearing sort of your final weeks at the Tacticians Academy. Now, this could be, if you wanted to, lean into like a academia kind of thing, but really the sort of lore concept of the Tacticians is the world started corrupting. This island of sort of like glitched out pixel storm appeared far to the north about 10 years ago at this point, called Darkwell. And then this corruption came out from that and started spreading to creatures and things. And generally what that means is these are things that don't follow these hard and fast rules of things like combat. They break that they break the programming, right? Like they don't follow the same rules of reality that the rest of the characters do here. And as part of that, the Tacticians was formed within the world, which is like it's not a military organization. It's essentially like a civilian organization to train this group of people to be able to handle that both in a combat situation and just generally be like helpers to combat the corruption, no matter what that means. If that means like you're going to be a healer, you're trying to run logistics to get like people evacuated from places, that kind of thing. So yeah, not exactly, I would say it's not like you aren't special police and you also aren't an arm of the military necessarily. But you go to this sort of like condensed school. So you all would have been at this training, but you can be from any walk of life. You know, you could be like, I'm a 200-year-old skeleton and I really want to join the academy. You know, it's more of a community college vibe than it is a high school, at least in the way I tend to play it. So you come from sort of all walks of Ahmian life. And for the last about 2 years, you've been training in this sort of central region of Ahm as part of that. And you're entering this final 2 weeks, which is the big sort of field test, field exercise exams. So over the next 2 weeks, you know that you're going to be going out and across this region, sort of sparring against each other, fighting against, in this case, today is the first big field day, which is kind of like a big rivalry moment where the Imperial Army sends some of their new recruits from the white-walled city of Ahm, which is the capital city, to the west of where the academy is, which is also sort of in the central area. And they face off against tacticians. And the tacticians take pride in being able to best their military sort of counterparts one-on-one, whereas the military is like, they operate at scale. Like tacticians are not taught how to like send units on flanking maneuvers. Mm-hmm. And, you know, like you're not sending 20 guys around up a hill. But the tacticians really want to be able to, like, a soldier and the tactician should come out on top, typically because they are just more unique, more specialized, more creative in their use case. And that's the day that we're all waking up to. So you all, the three of you would have been classmates in this capacity. You're essentially like the senior students in the academy. So you would have all known and interacted with each other for quite a while at this point. Here, I'll load a map in for you so you can kind of see where we're at in the center of this main continent. And world state wise, more center sort of you are, this area is still pretty normal. Like life is pretty normal. Places like to the far north are like completely, like people have evacuated out. The situation, if anything, near Darkwell is much more unknown, but it's been a slow creep with this corruption. So you all have lived pretty relatively calm and easy lives despite this sort of constant corruption eating away at the edges of the empire. And other parts of the empire have completely sort of defected. Like it isn't one big thing like it used to be anymore. But yeah, that's the situation. So as you all are getting up for the day's festivities, preparing your thing, your equipment, knowing this is, who do we see? What does everyone look like here? Why don't you go first, Ryan? What's your character doing? What do they look like?
So my character is Daka Daka, son of Daka, first of his name. I really like the I'm gonna go back to this little guy here. Let me pop him up here. This little cleric art piece of the kind of like of a ram with like the giant morning star. Mm-hmm. So I'm Ramkin. I'm a ramekin. I enjoy holding sauces frequently, and I think that's who I'm going to go with. And I'm the cleric of our party here. I can reach out with my healing touch and make you all feel better. And that's my guy, Daka Daka, the Ramkin.
You brought up the art too. I'll mention, all the art in the game currently is by Helena Santana. That's really cool. There's only a few pieces, and it's like that's as I'm literally writing more and developing more of the game, I'm also commissioning more art. Which I think I did send you one big piece that we'll get to here in a second, Brian, if you have that, when that is sort of the main big art piece for this adventure.
There's also this piece here I just put up. It's the last piece you put up with the 3 characters kind of looking out at that digital mountain.
Yeah, so that's Darkwell out there, like off the northern coast of Ahm, and yeah, trying to do some like fun stuff that I at least like as a person reading an RPG book, of having like recurring characters that you can like follow through the art and that kind of thing. So, but yeah, Helena's been doing awesome stuff. So that's where all the art comes from. All right, well that is Daka Daka. What about you, Hunter?
I am Gold's Tide. I am an automaton, and I am the party mage. But I really imagine it like he's just got like a really like futuristic rifle, and all of the stuff that I'm casting is me just like firing it.
Like you're loading some different like magical essence shell into the side of it.
Did you ever see Outlaw Star?
Yeah, ages ago, but yeah.
Yeah, they have the caster rifle, and it has a different effect for each bullet you put in it, but it's like a big rifle. It looks, it's that. So
it's Kataro.
Qatar Empire.
And then Stella, what is your character?
I am Storm Conflict. She doesn't look like Cloud Strife. She looks nothing like Cloud Strife. Yeah. And
so we're gonna say sort of human, legally distinct human.
Legally distinct human. Human.
The hair goes up in a different direction.
Yeah.
Definitely on the other shoulder.
Yeah, definitely not blonde. Definitely not. Yeah. Not Cloud Strife.
Yeah.
Nothing like Cloud Strife.
It's definitely not a Buster Sword.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a chainsaw. It's totally different.
Yeah.
This all sounds great to me. Yeah, and we'll keep an added main thing, but I would say that's the thing that I think is very fun, at least as GM, and to just let players kind of do whatever on the front, is because it really does remind me of that old, like maybe there was a context in like NES and SNES or Final Fantasies and those kind of games, why like sometimes you'd go to a merchant in a town and they would just be like rifle. And you're like, I thought this was like a fantasy game. Why is there a rifle? And there'd be really no explanation. It would just be like, no, at some point you just get rifles. So it's like, I think it's fun to let you all just be like, my automaton uses a spell gun. And I'm just like, yeah, sure. Yeah. Of course he does.
Oh,
like,
this fantasy game?
We may never see another spell gun. You just have one. We might never see another one. But cool. Well, yeah, so that is the group. And you would have sort of trained, especially this last handful of months, as like a squad. The idea is really like most RPGs, you operate as a party. Like you are all trained to be a small party that is going to go out across and help however you can. So you're already all familiar with each other. Whether that means you like each other or not is, of course, up to you as we get into things here. But as you walk sort of out of the quarters, like sort of barracks type area of this, like if you've all gotten ready and gone out to the day, is you come out and you can already tell that the sort of academy is like alive with activity. Like it's a pretty busy place with a lot of things going on generally, but it's just like everybody's up and at it. Even like the younger, like the newer students, I guess, rather, are out like sort of like getting up on the ramparts to like look and watch this, because this is like the kickoff of exams season, which is this big, fun rivalry between the Imperial Army recruits and the tacticians. So you're coming out to already see everybody like kitted up at the ready. Like there aren't any other classes today. There, it's that kind of a thing. And it's sort of like wagons of these much more, like the tacticians are all sort of allowed to embrace your own thing. Like you brought your own style of clothes. The bow you have may have been from the quartermaster here, but you can do whatever you want. You could have added any ornamentation. It's not militaristic in that way, like the organization. Whereas the military is the opposite, right? These are like same armor, same spear, all to, very specific uniform and colors getting off here. And this sort of doubles the capacity of people around the academy. And as you all are walking out to this, you see, your sort of main, almost like your advisor. Like he has been one of many professors at the academy you've had over your time, but he is sort of in charge of running you through these last few. And that is Deccan von Lopesbane. He is a big British style hippo folk man. Very like a cleric, but very big, fancy, ornate. And his big thing is he always has a sack of vegetables. Seems to be whatever he could get from the farmers near the academy that he is always eating from. And in today's case, that is a big sack that he has sort of slung over his side, full of eggplants. And he's like halfway through munching one as he comes up to you and it's just like, oh, what a day, another field day. Come here, come here. And I mean, he's like 8 feet tall, wide, huge thing. Sort of similar clothing to like the goat folk that you put Ryan on. I do have art of Deccan. I don't know if I sent it to you, but there is some art of him, but just a big guy. He has a big war hammer on his back. And yeah, it just comes up and it's like, how are you all feeling? It's going to be an exciting day, a telling day. Hopefully in your favor, yes? Are you ready?
Haha, yes.
What about you, Miss Conflict?
Miss Conflict, ready as I've ever been.
That's good. I don't want, I really prefer not to be embarrassed. It's been a number of years since I've had my team go down fighting, well, these lot. And he sort of gestures at the Imperial Army. And
I'm going to snicker at them a little bit, be like,
Yeah, it's like we see like one of them like fall coming out of the wagon and like his like metal helmet goes like rolling. And they kind of have, they all look, the army people, it's like there's occasionally this like tough guy among the group who's kind of like, I got something to prove. But a lot of them look pretty like intimidated because really the tacticians almost always take this part. The second part of this exam that would be coming like the next week is the opposite, where tacticians go there and it's like, here's 50 tacticians versus 50 military, where the military typically, comes out. So these guys are kind of like, oh God, I'm already a green, I'm like a new recruit, and now I got to get trounced by these really cool, varied looking fighters. And yeah, Deccan, the big thing you would know upon your time with Deccan is that he is a member of the first class of tacticians. That is exactly what you'd think. He was one of the first people to sort of form and go through this. And a lot of the other first class of tacticians are either dead or still out fighting corruption. And he's one of the few who came back to be a professor, sort of like early retired as a professor. But, he's like, to a lot of people coming to the academy, they'd be like, oh, it's Deccan von Lopesbane. But funnily enough, none of you have ever seen him like fight or lift a finger or take that warhammer off his back the whole time that you've been here. And yeah, he kind of gestures you all to head out, and you sort of start to head out of the main, sort of main courtyard area, main bailey of the academy, out into the field. And as you do, there is some art that I sent you, Ryan, if you want to put it up. This is like a world exclusive, weekly scroll exclusive. This is the biggest piece of art. This is the biggest piece of art Helena Santana has done so far, and it was really awesome. It was kind of all on her. I just said, like, I want to do a 1-page. This is the kind of idea. And she was like, I want to go in. I want to really go in on it. Is that cool? And I was like, that sounds awesome. And she did. She did. I mean, there's probably dozens and dozens of characters on this. It's a big spread of a bunch of tacticians like watching this fight between Imperial things. It's something I would love to have one day end up as a poster. It will definitely be a full spread. It will definitely be a full spread piece. And yeah, you'll see some of the characters from that last full page piece of art you've shown are still woven in here as well against the Imperial Army. But this is really what you come out to see. Is you come out and sort of past the wall. It's just a big, mostly open field, occasional trees and stones, and then just tons. All the tacticians are out here. The whole rest of the senior class is out. Everyone else sort of watching, and then plus all these other, military grunts. This is like sergeants and lieutenants that are here with these recruits, sort of like trying to prep talk them and whip them into shape before the festivities begin. And then pretty bright sunny day. It's kind of like early summer. It just has one of those days of like, it's just nice feeling. There's like that excitement in the air, just nice weather out. Very like, blue sky, evergreen feeling. You wouldn't know there was a corruption in the world at all on a day like today. And yeah, von Lobsbane is just like, once again, chomping down on his second eggplant at this point, being like, oh yes, a wonderful day indeed for a tussle. Wonderful. Come, we must find our, soldiers for you to smack on.
Ha
And along the way, yeah, he basically explains what I said, the idea that it's like, hey, you're expected at this point to be able to handle these guys in a one-on-one fight. So, if there's three of you, there should be three of them, and you should be able to handle that. Obviously, this is still a field exercise, so that they have clerics on hand. He is obviously a very experienced cleric. Like, no one's dying in these fights. You might go down and need to be pulled out of the fight, but, you feel pretty confident that you're not going to die. Then basically we just cut straight in as you walk up to this other group of a few of these green recruits and the sergeant. It just battle music plays, spins, and it's like the way we tend to play it in my home game is it's literally like the perspective of the world changes. Like maybe we're used to like seeing things from like a isometric view, and now it like zooms in, or the other way around, right? It's like within the world, because you are playing this sort of in a digital video game world. The idea is that it's like when you fight someone, physically things change around you, and then as you keep playing and deal with corruption, that barrier starts to bend and get weird. So let me find my thing here for that. All right, so here is our starting map. So you're facing off against a spearman and two archers. You all can put yourselves wherever you want in the green.
Oh yeah.
The way it works in the published sort of adventure stuff I've put out is there's sort of like suggested areas. I would say this is designed to like you don't need to go down like a board game balance brain. It's very easy to go that way because that's what grid combat does to people. So I have suggested things on here, but if for some reason in a battle, if you were running this as the GM, the situation called for something else, it's totally fine just to follow your standard combat fantasy rules of placing people where it makes sense for the situation. But here, I can put down some tokens since I don't know who all can put down tokens. And you should be able to name yourself as well, too. I don't think I have any automatons, so I'll put some... I did have little arrows.
From Pinterest, just steal from some poor artists that...
You can totally drop one in if you want. You do just have to keep facing, so we want an idea of like what is your forward facing. That doesn't necessarily need to be an arrow as long as it's art that makes sense.
Let's see. Is there a...
Yeah, there should be a text down here. Like here, I can go.
Oh yeah. There we storm conflict.
And yeah, we're just using Owlbear Rodeo, obviously, since we're playing virtually, but like really because there aren't dice, there aren't that kind of thing. All that you really need is you need to know where pieces are on the board. So ideally you should be able to run it in a very simple BTT or using something just like a bait, like a bare grid on your table.
Yeah. They got those nice vinyl sheets for the wet erase markers,
Yeah, like I have a big one of those. It's basically that totally works. The DACA. Okay, so let me add this. So who has the highest speed? Or what is everyone's speed, I guess? I'll just ask.
I have a speed of 3, I believe, as a fighter.
I also have a speed of 3.
Oh, damn. Do I have 4? Am I 4? Does the cleric have 4? Did I read it wrong?
Look, do you think I wrote this game? I don't know. You're going to have to check.
Dude, it's so funny. Like, obviously, everyone that reads games is making their own or whatever. But I know other people's games a million times better than anything I've ever written about my own shit. I feel like the second I put it down on writing, I forget that it exists.
Yeah, it's out of your
head.
head.
Clerics have 4 speed.
Yeah, basically 4.
No.
a little quicker. You know, you used to moving quick to try to keep people alive here. So, all right. And then gold, you said you were also speed through?
Yeah.
Cool. So this is alternating initiative. The initiative is maybe the one thing that's a little weird at first, but then it's nice after, I think, at least. So tacticians always go first, and then it alternates according to sort of these two lists. So the idea would be your team's initiative is always the same order. And then as people are eliminated from that, like if you were to defeat Spearman 1, then the list just goes to Archer 1 and 2 and it alternates. But if you outnumber another side, you might get to have multiple people go at once. You'll see how it plays out. It just keeps us from having to roll initiative and make a new list every time. We're keeping at least half the list the same, and it's, you know, ensuring that there's not that 5 enemies go in a row or 3 people go in a row on the field. So as you all line up and sort of get in your position, and the military people on the other side look, and Deccan is just kind of standing back, munching away, like observing, and you can't really tell if he thinks like your starting placement is good or bad. You look across and you can see these are trees. The black is full cover, basically. So that means nothing goes through it. And then this is a big sort of stone just coming out of the lawn of this sort of field. And that is half, which means you can fire over it. So ranged attacks, whatever, you know, if it fit the fiction, the ability to fit the fiction. I haven't said this is ranged, this is not. If it seems ranged, it will go over this. Melee attacks will not, and abilities will not. So that's what these are signifying. Other than that, we're just in open grass. And he kind of looks and gives a nod to the drill sergeant type that's with these recruits, and he pulls out a really like ornate golden, very like imperial army seeming horn, and goes, blows this horn, and yeah, we're in it. So tacticians go first. So Dodaka is up first. Your speed is 4, which means you can move 4 squares. You can move orthogonally, as it I believe is called, diagonally. Is that diagonal or is that straight? Don't pay attention. You can move into any square as long as it's not blocked by an obstacle. You can move through your teammates. You cannot move through enemies. And then you do an action as well, essentially with your second. Which most of the time is going to be an attack, whether that's your base attack, a weapon attack, or you're going to use an ability. But yeah, what do you do?
Okay. So I can't get to them with my 4 speed. And I'm the healer. I'm the healer boy. So I think my plan is to be in a position to help next time. I don't know if that's the reason why you said this is a tree. This guy right here.
The 2 black squares.
Black squares are trees, yeah.
Dope. Okay, so then what I would like to do is I'm going to take Dodaka, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go here.
Okay.
And I don't really think I'm not going to attack. I don't have any range. No one's injured yet. So I think that's kind of it, unless there's something else that generally you'll be able to do.
No, I would say you can move again in place of an action. So like you could move up to 8 squares in a turn if you did nothing else. But I don't think that's what you need to do here. I'm just letting you know. The other thing to consider for both movement and everything else, I will say, is backstabbing. Is a thing in this. So it's sort of like, think flanking in D&D term, right? But any attack you take that comes in from directly behind you, so whether that's immediately behind you or to the side, but it's from an attacker coming in at that back angle, they're going to do extra damage. So in your case right now, you're going to do bonus damage equivalent to your level. So all of you are going to do 1 additional damage if you're backstabbing. But if you were level 4 characters, you do 4 additional damage. Everything in the game kind of scales around level.
Good to know. Gotcha. Good to know.
Well, if I don't have to take a full action, but I can still, or a full second movement, but I can still do some movement, then I'm going to go. Yeah. I'm going to go right here. So I'm kind of behind the tree, but I can see them and shit.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So that was, you use your move, then you use your action to run, which gives you a little bit more move. And then we go over to the Spearman. So Spearman 1 is going to go here. Let me pull up my, let me make sure I know what Spearmen do. So generally enemies act, unless they're corrupted enemies, they act according to all the same rules you do for the most part. So they have the same thing. They have speed. They have abilities that they can only use once per combat, all that kind of thing as well. So the Spearman's kind of thinking the same thing, like eyeing back and forth, seeing this little this area between the trees maybe as an area of safety, and it's going to go 1, 2, 3, and it's going to come face to face with Tadaka, use his base attack, which just does 1 damage to you, and his base attack hits these 2 squares.
But yeah, I should have stayed where I was.
And then it goes back to Storm.
Okay. So, in that case, I got 3 movement. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 1, 2, and then I'm going to fire my bow, which would hit directly to and actually wait. Would like Tadaka be in the way of this bow attack, or is it? All right, nope. Cool.
It's classic Final Fantasy Tactics, and it goes. Yeah,
it's like artillery.
Yeah, where it's only wherever you only ever have to consider. You might be blocked from seeing because of something in the way, but it will always hit there. Yeah.
Okay.
How much damage does it do?
That does CL, which is a mere 1
class
damage.
Level.
Yeah.
Which is just 1 right now. Yeah. Cool. All right, so he gets hit, kind of lets out a little yell at you over the corner of Tadaka. Then we go back to the other side for Archer. The Archers, as you might think, are probably going to do something similar to what you just did, if they can get in position. Ooh, Tadaka actually has some good placement here. They can't quite get in the best position they want to.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Luckily, we have good positioning with our healer up front and our damage behind.
Yes. So the Archer is going to come running up and go sort of around the tree, back to the tree. Just trying to line up a shot, but doesn't have a good shot. Because like we said, everything uses attack patterns, right? So the attack pattern is right now would land here. And I can't line that up. It's the same as the bow that you have, essentially the same attack pattern. But I think the Archer is going to hold this position because there's a lot of cover here. It's behind the fighter.
Oh.
So that's the Archer. So then we go to Golds.
Golds. What am I going to do in this situation?
Golds tied the silver robot.
Hey, I couldn't find a gold one fast enough. I didn't commit too much time to it because I'm just like, this is just going to be for this. But Golds is more of his vibe, really. I think my movement, your speed is how many squares you
can move. Yeah.
I'm gonna let you guys take care of those 2 over there. I think 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna exchange shots with this Archer if it's dumb enough to come close to me.
Okay, so you move. Do you want to do? You can move more. You can use your action to get a full move again if you want.
Oh, yeah. I think I'll come. I'm just gonna move 1 more. I don't care about the last 2. I'm gonna stay there.
Oh, by the way, I did Archer 2 instead of Archer 1, so I'm renaming them. I'm retconning my own actions now.
Yeah,
I know. You gotta bear with me. I'm can't do that.
No, we should keep. We should keep them.
Cool. So you go ahead and do the same, sort of try to get in position, and then Archer 2 gets to go. I will also mention for people watching that the 8x8 to 12x12 is kind of the size of the battle maps here. They're much smaller. Because ideally it's I want them to be able you could print an 8x8 you could print on normal printer paper even, and set it on your table and play. They're tighter fights than you might be used to in some things with big battle maps. All right, the archer. Yeah, I mean the archer is just a little green new recruit, and it's just like this metal man. She's going to take a step forward and go boing, and do 1 damage to you. Cool. And then we're start of a new round, and we're back to Dodaka.
Okay, so question that you probably said before, but for my clarification, so we have a base attack with our characters, and then we have weapons. That doesn't matter, right? Like as far as like they don't stack or anything. That's just what we normally get.
No, you have the option for either, because like friendly fire and things like that is a concern. They're both things in your toolkit. You can only have one weapon equipped at a time because you have like a weapon slot, a shield slot, an armor slot, and then inventory. So you would have to use an action to swap to a weapon in your backpack, say, for example.
Gotcha. Okay, so mine is a flail, which is like a situation. But you said if we're behind people, we get backstab, right?
Yeah. So if you were going to do an attack that came in this way, it's a backstab.
Okay, but so I can do one. Oh, get on the grid. 1, 2, 3. I can do this and backstab this guy, right?
Yeah. So you just turn. You would turn and rotate like to face that way. Then you would do your attack, which the flail attack targets a square here if there was one, and a square here. It's kind of like a attack. And then it's a backstab because you're attacking from into that back line of that person. So you're doing, what's your flail damage?
I think
probably just CL, probably just 1.
I think it's just CL, it's 1. Yeah.
Cool. So it would be 1 damage, and then you do 1 additional backstab damage. Or 2. So you just kind of like quickly step around the group and just smack this like a little sad archer in the back of the head. It's the same thing as before. The helmet falls off. It's like, I just think it's funny to make these little Imperial Army guys always like, it's like little like sad imps.
They're halfway between a Goomba and a Stormtrooper.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Cool. So you sunk in. That's definitely a good hit. Go to Spearman 1. Ooh, Spearman 1 seeing this and being like, don't know how to counter that necessarily, or if you can counter that. All right, so Storm is down there, though.
Yeah.
That name, Storm Conflict.
Yeah. All right, the Spearman seeing this and hearing the archer whimper kind of like goes and gives like a condescending look at the archer after taking this hit. Is going to try to do a cool guy, like sort of step around the tree to see golds. Now let's see. Yeah, still can't get in position for a backstab, and is going to do the base attack to just do 1 damage to golds. It's going to be like, but you didn't think I was coming.
That's half my HP, guys. I'm dying.
Then we're to Storm.
All right. Well, in that case, what I'm I want you to know I was so excited to possibly have a lineup for the lunge. But best laid plans of mice and men. You know what? In that case, I'm gonna go 1, 2, and then I'm gonna base attack. And get the spearman for 1 damage.
Okay. All right, you slash in for an attack. Then we go back to Archer 1. So Archer 1, I'll use the right Archer this time.
Let's go.
Archer 1 is maybe bumbling, but is a quick learner and is taking a lesson from the Dodaka School of Tactics, which is run around and hit your enemy in the back, and is going to go 1, 2, 3,
son of a bitch.
Is going to use their dagger weapon to do 2 damage by just going and sticking you.
Stinky.
And then we are to golds.
You know what you must do?
What do you?
I don't know. Kill.
I have 2 options. So,
Kill. You're like, you know what you must do, and Hunter's like, what must I do? I don't know.
I don't know. So I got speed 3. So I got 1, 2, 3. That put me, yeah. And then so I moved 3, and then Gold pulls out his magic rifle, and he's gonna fire Seeker Shot at the Spearman, which does CL 3 damage, so 3 damage.
3 damage. That's the hardest hit I think you can take at level 1. So you put that in, and feel free to change my flavor. The flavor I'll give this is that you load it because of the nature of the Seeker Shot being what it is. It's like you load that into your rifle, you just fire it straight up, and it goes. It's like this blue burst. It goes and just curves down, smacks right in, and the Spearman just gets knocked flat into the grass and is down.
Amazing. Ha ha ha.
Then we go to Archer 2. Archer 2 is like, oh, seeing that happen. He goes over to Archer 1 and goes, I hope he doesn't have another one of those. What's the Archer gonna do? Can't get to Daka because of the cover.
Let's go.
Just gonna go 1, 2, fire for 1 damage on Storm with bow.
Oh.
This Archer's trying to play it pretty safe. Stick back. Stick to the basics. I will say too, we haven't really done it. You can move before. You can split your move. You can move before or after. So in this case, I moved 2. I still have 1 more move, so that he's going to take a step back. And then facing as well, since that does matter, you decide your facing at the end of your turn, and then that's just what it's set as until your next turn. So
understand.
Even if you're out of speed, you could say, I want to face this direction so I don't get maxed out.
Eventually, I'm going to forget about facing, and it's really going to fuck me up one time, and I'll be like, oh, God damn it.
Never forget about facing again.
Never forget about it. You learn the lesson in XCOM.
Yeah, the good things to remember, facing, if you have a shield, remember that you can use that to block some damage if it's going to you're going to get knocked down or something because of it. And then later, something might come up called relationships that you can invoke with each other. That's also important to remember, but hopefully we'll get to that today.
Indeed.
So that was Archer 2, so then we're about to Daka.
So I have multiple options here. 1 is to go heal people, since I'm the healer, but somehow I'm all the way in the front. 2 is to just try to murder.
Go for number 2.
Yeah, I think it's murder time. So
it's more than time.
Listen, my heart is all about that murder. So we've decided we can diagonalize, right?
Yeah, you can.
All right. So 1, 2, 3.
Oh no! I mean, you could have gone. You can go this way.
Oh wait! I can go diagonal across a person. Oh, so I didn't think.
Well,
I guess it's not totally through an enemy. Yeah. Interesting. Well then, yeah. I mean,
you do a cool shimmy.
Yeah, shimmy around the tree. I go ass first towards the archer, and I move behind them. I'm aiming in the right direction for a backstab, right?
Yeah.
And I with my flail, and I hit him.
Yeah, you smack. Same thing. Just flops down into the grass. Bow and quivers fall bow. The arrows all fall out of the quiver.
Oh,
and the drill sergeant's and Lobespain's pretty good hit. Is eating his 8th eggplant.
He just loves those eggplants right in his mouth. So I can split my movement though, right? So that was only 2. So then I can go back into some type of cover from this archer, right?
Sure. It'd be very tactical of you to do so.
Yeah.
Boom.
Very,
I am a
Tactician brain.
I am a tactician. Yeah.
I'll say you probably want to turn your facing this way.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You did have your butt facing the enemy. It was closer to the enemy.
Yeah.
There it is. There it is. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
That's one of the reasons. The ability to easily rotate is one of the reasons why I used owlbear for this, because that's nice about it.
I do like it. Yeah.
All right. So Spearman. So at this point, when I was kind of talking in the opening, right, is because Spearman 1 and Archer 1 are defeated, and when enemies go down in this, they're down. There's no. They don't have. They operate by enemy rules, right? In the video game, not character party member rules. So they like don't have death pips or death checks or any of the stuff that you do.
No,
but they get basically they get crossed off the list. So now it goes to Archer 2, and then it's going to go back to you guys and go through the rest of your list before the round resets. So it's really advantageous to outnumber an enemy, because that means you are going to get multiple turns in a row. Which then lets, like Stella, like you were saying, like you were trying to line up that shot the right way. Once you outnumber, it's like, it could be good. And the other way around, it's very bad when you're like, oh, this fight, there's 8 of them and 4 of us. This is going to be extremely hard. But yeah, so Archer 2 is going to, let's see. Archer 2 is like, like this is like extremely scared, timid, like it's like a 16-year-old, like I guess 18, but looks like 15-year-old, like a jarhead type thing. Like this is like really overwhelmed, scrawny guy. He's gonna step forward, fire with the arrow at Storm, and then go back to and turn this way to sort of hopefully, be in a somewhat defensible position. They clearly kind of even want to run, but their sergeant is being like, "You're gonna stay in there, boy. You ain't gonna quit. This is a test fight. You can't quit on the battlefield." And then we go back to Storm.
All right. So 1, 2, and now I'm gonna do my big old lunge attack, and get him for 2 damage.
2 damage. Cool.
And then I'm gonna go back this way.
Cool. So yeah, you come up and it's like big. I think it's got that like it has like the anime animation of like the light burst that comes out like with your attack goes farther than the actual blade or whatever really would. You hit, it's like, ugh, and then work your way across. Try to start your way around the thing. So now at this point, since you outnumber, Archer 2's already gone. It just goes straight to golds.
I 1, 2, 3. That's where I'm gonna go. I just used both my actions as movement, and I just moved a bunch.
Just intimidating. Yeah, you're just like, this is the like pushing the like the king on the chessboard into the back corner, being like, "We're gonna get you, boy."
I'm gonna turn. I'm gonna turn to face him. I don't think he'll. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. So then start of the round, and as always, tacticians start first, so it goes to Dodaka. So in this case, like being outnumbered like this is like that gives you guys 3 actions in a row, which is nice.
Okay, so I can't get to that guy, so I'm gonna do my cleric thing, and I'm gonna do a Healy action. Let me bring that up real quick. Yeah, look at it's almost like you should have gone towards me.
Did.
So I'm gonna do healing touch is what I took. Restorative prayer delivered by hand.
How much is he?
Yeah, and I mean, you can be whatever kind of cleric you want. Just look at the description. I think that the only lore thing right now is that sort of intentionally milk toast main religion, like all the Final Fantasies and stuff have, where it's a Solara, I think is what I've read.
It's like a sun thing, right? It's a sun thing.
It's just always like some vaguely nice seeming sun thing.
It's actually the Solarian Church from Dune.
Oh, there we go.
That's what you don't know. Is this is a Dune prequel.
Yeah.
This is set before the Butlerian Jihad or whatever.
Prior to the Darkwell corruption that just turns everything to sand.
Yeah.
I think it's CL2, which should be CL2 class level 2. So yeah, so I reach out with my hand, and in a very generic milk toast way, you just glow slightly, and then you get like a green aura around you, and then you just feel better because green is for healing.
Okay, at this point you're just styling on them. You're like, we're gonna end this fight where we don't even hurt at all, and all you guys are bozos are down on the ground. Now it goes over to Archer 2. So Archer 2 is gonna have anything here to do. Archer 2 is gonna go 1, 2, 3, turn, put the back to the tree, fire the arrow at Storm. Archer 2 is just hoping to get points on the board at this point. Like in front of the drill sergeant.
Yeah, Archer.
Oh, I saw it too there for a second. It's back now for me, at least, where it should be. The Archer should have their back against the tree.
Oh,
okay.
Hey, there we go.
Now it should be where it is, I think, if you're seeing what I'm seeing.
Well, I'm not seeing what you're seeing.
No.
All right, hold on. Let me move around.
He keeps shooting to the left. He really doesn't want to be here, I think.
If you try to reload the webpage, it'll probably be all right.
Yeah.
He's showing for me in the right place.
Reloaded, still not in the right place.
Still not.
Maybe it's me who's wrong.
That's so funny.
All right, Taylor Swift.
Here, I'm at least familiar. We gotta.
There he is.
Okay, they're reloaded as well.
There we go.
Okay, and it's going to fire for 1 damage at Storm. Archer, yeah, this kid is just like, I know I've gotten a few hits on this person. They haven't gotten healed. I'm just hoping they go down before the end of this, so I don't have to do 40 weeks of latrine duty when we get back to the base.
Oh, man.
He's got no choice. He's going to be the poop boy by the end of this.
Yeah.
All right, goes to Storm.
Last man standing. Right. He shouldn't have to do poop. That spearman was
Yeah, that's true.
Look, that's the second game. That's the game that's coming later. That's the
poop game.
The Imperial military version of this game.
Boom.
That's Battalions of Ahm.
I'll be dropping in
2030. I mean, I would be lying if I said there aren't notes for a grand combat version of this.
All right, so I'm gonna go like this, and I'm gonna do my base attack, hitting the archer for 1 point of damage, getting up in their face and all.
You slash through, take a little chunk out of the tree behind, and he's just kind of like, oh. All right, then Gold's
is gonna move just 1 for now. Maybe I'll move more for no reason later. And turn to face. And I'm gonna load up the abilities are once per combat instance, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just making sure before I burn all my abilities. But yeah, I'm gonna load up my other ability.
Yeah, they're once per character lifetime. No, yeah, they're once per combat.
No, they're once per day. You gotta take a long rest. Yeah, so he pulls up his rifle. I feel like the rifle's like on a sling, like around.
Okay.
Like he pulls it up and he takes like a slug out of his like little waistband and he loads it in and aims up again and goes ha and 3 missiles shoot forward. And I'm casting many missiles, which will hit him, the tree, and then the one on his left for 1 damage. A massive 1 damage.
So yeah, he was the archer who said to the other archer when he was still up, like, I hope he doesn't have another one of those bullets after your seeker shot. And he looks and he's like, he had another one. And then it just goes and hits him and he just smacks down into the dirt. And his the drill sergeant starts to come over and it's like, like gently, not like really kicking them, but like for show kicking them and yelling down in front of the group. Okay, you're all victorious. You want to take 1 XP.
Yeah.
So yes, go ahead and take 1 XP, and just mark that down. You'll hit level 2 when you get to 2 XP, so you're nearly there. You're already nearly to level 2, and now this is the relationship thing I mentioned earlier. So we'll have to think back on if there was any relevant moment in the fight for this. But the way the relationship works is you can all have relationship points and relationship levels with each other as party members. And the way those get decided is sort of the table is like, was there any sort of combo moment in that fight that felt good? Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be literally like one turn, the next turn, but like, did someone set someone up for something? It could be the DACA begrudgingly not being able to murder and choosing to heal golds. It could be like that. But it's like, was there sort of a character combo moment or two in the fight, and then we award relationship XP?
I think,
but it happens as a table.
To the last archer, Storm like rolled up on it and did 1 damage, which allowed me to come through on the next move and do 1 more damage from far away to close out that. That was very like 2-player combo.
Yeah.
I mean, it is too. It is also the case that like generally, like once you know an enemy, like because you had fought the other archer and you knew that they had 4 health, then you just know that archers will always have 4 health. Like that's part of the rules, kind of is like the player knowledge of that, and even like GMs should feel fine. So it's like you basically knew they only had 1 shot left because of that. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a good one, especially for our 1-shot purposes here. So what that looks like is each of you writes down each other's name on the relationship part of your character sheet, and you're just going to take 1 RP, which is relationship point. It will be the same thing at level 2. You'll actually get a level of that. And what relationships levels do is you can invoke that in a fight to give the other person you have the relationship with a free action immediately. So you could then in that case, it could have been like, well, I'm going to go here, use my ability. I'm going to invoke my relationship to let golds immediately seeker shot this person or whatever like that. And then, I would say also, I think the other moment from that fight that comes to mind for me is probably Dodaka and golds.
Yeah.
So I would probably write down, each of you can write down each other's name and just put that you have 1 relationship point.
There we go.
I got 1 point with everybody. I'm everyone's friend. Ha ha.
You're really good at that. Ha ha.
I figured because you always like to play characters you can hardly understand that you were going to be like, his voice matrix is broken.
Yeah, it's Bumblebee.
He just goes,
No, I just speaks in like radio clips like Bumblebee from Transformers. You know that thing that got really old immediately and they kept doing it?
Wasn't at all annoying, yeah.
Man,
that's a great series.
Those Michael Bay films were weird.
Yeah.
Remember that whole subplot about how a guy was able to bring out a lobby? Like, it's totally legal for me to date.
He had a laminated card. And it's like, Romeo and Juliet law. It's fine if I date an underage girl. It's like, what are we fucking talking about in this movie, man?
Yeah.
It was a strange time for us all. Luckily, we don't. Luckily, right now we're in a fantasy world where Michael Bay does not exist. Yet.
God.
So Beckon comes over to the group and kind of like puts you all in the back. And it's very like congratulatory, just being like, good show. Not even one of you fell. I knew you had it in you. That's very good. Well, let's let these military men clean up. And kind of like looks down at the like whimpering spearmen on the ground near you. Come with me. Come with me. And you can see it as you sort of walk around too now, like all the exercises are really kicking off, like the sort of skirmishes. And there's lots of other different groups fighting similar makeups of various Imperial army across the board. It's sort of like, cheers going down. It's kind of like what typically happens at these, where 75% of the time the tacticians are winning, but the Imperial soldiers are really gloating whenever they're getting a win. And you do see that happening in a few cases of them being like, yeah, bro, yes, and being like chest bumping in their armor and stuff to each other.
This dude's being dudes.
Yeah, just classic.
Bros being bros,
Von Lobsman leads you over to just like a different area of this where there's a little bit more same surrounding of trees and stuff, but you can kind of tell this is like the Imperial army isn't necessarily here. And leads you up to somebody that you would probably both have some passing familiarity with, but a very broad, muscular dwarven woman. And for some reason, whenever I do things with dwarves in them, the dwarves are like squares. Like their silhouette is a square. She is
They're
as
D6.
wide as she is tall. Like
Venus of Willendorf style.
It's like if she is 4 feet tall, she is also 4 feet wide. They're like they're like smaller versions of Kingpin from
Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes, from Into the Spider-Verse. That's what I think of them as.
Best character design.
Yeah, that's always how I envision. That's like my ideal dwarf shape to me. And yeah, this is Penelope Thunderberry, who is one of the Academy's Beastmasters, which will be a prestige class down the line for the game. But as to you, is just these sort of people that are involved in the training, and whether they either are magically like conjuring animals, or whether they have they're just extremely tuned with nature and animals and trained them, you've never been able to quite put together. But Deccan just introduces her and is like, Penelope here is going to help us with this next one. You're not always going to be facing off against some, supposedly intelligent enemies like those Imperial soldiers over there. You might get caught off guard. You're going to have to be camping on the road, aren't you? So this is, to help you with that. Sometimes you might just get the boar tusk in your rear, and that'll be your wake-up call. Any questions?
How many boar tusks have you taken?
It's been quite some time, thankfully. But I imagine, before the Academy, probably only one. But in my time since, it was at least 3 before I quit on the road. And I could have lived without taking any of those, so do your best to avoid it. Penelope, why don't you throw a boar in the mix for them? And she's like, okay, we can do that.
Go. So a boar tusk to the rear is like an arrow to the knee and arm.
That's secretly why he had to retire. And Penelope sort of goes and, it's very like sort of druidic looking, I would say, like in her like outfit, has these sort of like bracers of like carved wooden sort of big, bracers on, and kind of just like does like a weird, almost like a dog, like a silent whistle, like whistles, but you don't really hear anything. And then from behind some of the trees and rocks out here in the field, you see a wolf come out and a boar come out.
My God.
Let me pull up our next little thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I said, we're in tutorial mode, so this is a little more. We're leading you from fight to fight. I would say your more typical adventure outside of this context won't probably be this directed, but.
This is interesting with us starting surrounded. Potentially.
Yeah, so you all can place yourself in the middle. We already have our wolf and boar here.
Right.
And yeah, the Spain's like, go ahead and take up in the middle. Like, we're going to give you some benefit of the doubt and assume that you probably heard these enemies coming. So you woke up, got out of your tent, things like that. But either way, they're coming from all around.
How would I add my own token?
I think you have to go to like asset manager.
Yeah.
Okay. Players.
I can just drop one for you.
Yeah, just drop one for me. I've never used Owlbear Rodeo before. There we go.
There you go. So then you can just hit the little text to add name, or I can't either one.
Yeah. Edit text. Storm Conflict.
I do think even in its current form, Owlbear's it's the one that I recommend like in the text of the game if you're going to play virtually. It's a wild how hard it is to find a virtual tabletop that literally is just let me put pieces on a map. Like where I'm like, I just don't want anything else. Like I'm not, I don't need like dynamic shadow casting from virtual lighting. It's like, just give me this. So, like I've actually seen people use like Google Docs for it, where you do like slides. or something. And it's literally like I just put my map in slides and then all of us can move photos on top.
We've played with people using Jamboards before, and I think Google's like shutting down Jamboard or something too, or something.
Yes, they are, because my friend who exclusively used Google Jamboard for her online sessions has been smoked in an act of pure hubris by Google. Actually, no, it's not hubris, it's malice. They were going after her specifically.
They got rid of G+, they got rid of Jamboards. It's like anytime Google gives us something that's actually good, they just take it away.
So one thing I glossed over last time that we can say here is when you're matched on speed, at the beginning of the fight, the tacticians can choose who takes first initiative. So like Golds or Storm, who do you want to go first? It's set for the rest of the battle, but you could pick that now.
Since I was second the first time, I'll be third this time.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right, so this time Penelope lets out like a little little howl to the wolf to like, okay, the fight is kicking off, and then Tadaka, you go first.
Well, fuck me, I guess.
I will say, even if this was a game, like we're looking at the character sprites, the art, the wolf looks considerably more formidable than the soldiers. From like a mechanical standpoint, the wolf is a level 2 enemy. Everything else you fought is level 1, so it's like the wolf looks very scary.
What about the boar? How scary does the boar look?
The boar is like a normal, like you don't want to get a tusk in the butt, but you think you could take one or two.
Yeah, the text that says boar is white. The text that says wolf is blue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Well, so I think then that focus fire on weak enemies so we can turn and face the strong enemy is the best bet. So I'm going to move 3 forward. I'm going to go with my flail situation on the boar.
My flail situation,
Yeah.
Trying to get it medicated.
Why am I getting so many spam calls? Don't they know I'm playing Tacticians of Ahm? I'm going to answer them. Sorry, I can't talk. I'm playing Tacticians of Ahm, the world's premier role-playing game.
I want you to know, when this stream started, I got a call and I did not answer it, which is very similar to yesterday when I was on stream and also got a call and just didn't answer it because I was on stream.
Getting a call and not answering it, there's nothing quite like it. This is
the most I have been called in months.
Hey,
they know you're online.
Yeah,
they know. Yeah, they're watching. They hear you. I
still have one, you take a swing in,
so I can. Yeah, and then I want to move away, and I also want to. Can I just? Does it flip? No, it doesn't flip. I want to face away from the tree, with my back towards it.
Okay.
So that he can't backstab me.
Do you look like you have your back towards it to everyone else?
No, looks like your back is facing.
I'm using like the top here. I'm going like this. I'm using like the top of your head as the.
Wait, couldn't he backstab you from one of the other like spots around your back?
He could. He could go here and here. Yeah. If he has an angled attack, which you don't know.
Right, I know.
Boars are pretty, they're on the straight and narrow typically.
Oh. Gotcha. So I raise forward.
One of your 3.
Yeah, I race forward. I hit around the tree, and then I'm just gonna like press my back up against the tree to see if it maybe like but away from it so it can't see me. So maybe it'll like run past me and not see me or something.
Oh, cool.
All right, got it.
All right, so then we go to Wolf 1. The only wolf in this case.
Both are true.
See. The wolf is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Motherfucker.
Runs up to Golds and is going to use Holding Bite. So Holding Bite does 3 damage to you, Golds. It's one of the wolf's abilities. And it is going to inflict slow on you for 1 turn. So slow.
Wait, is it backstabbing as well?
Oh my God, you're right.
Oh,
you're down.
I'm down.
So you take 5.
I'm down.
Damage. Well, we're in it now. Thank goodness you got Deccan on back on standby if you're really gonna die. But cool. Then yeah, you take 5. Don't worry about slow. When you go down, you can't. So what a great opportunity to explain how death works in this game. So we kind of glossed over it again last time, right? But there's no lasting damage from combat between fights. When you're out of combat, you just are your health is refilled. The one thing that does last is death pips, so now when it comes up to you, Golds, which is about to, in initiative, and you are down, when you can't act, you're going to take a death pip. When you would take your 4th death pip, you die.
Okay.
And then there's a bunch of other things in the game. Like when you're stunned, you can choose to take a death pip to still do something. Like you can push yourself through the stun. In the open world, you can travel beyond, like when you don't have supplies, you can continue to travel, but you inflict death pips, that kind of thing. So that's like the overarching meta damage or whatever I would say that you take.
Is that kind of like your take on exhaustion almost?
Yeah, it's kind of, the idea is it's kind of all those things rolled into one. Mm. It's sort of your exhaustion. It's like, I think you put yourself, it's stress, exhaustion, all combined into ideally just one thing. And then it refreshes on either you have some sort of healing that refreshes them, you long rest equivalent, that kind of thing.
Cool.
So that's the wolf's attack. And then it would go to you, but since you're down,
I marked it.
Down is the one time you don't have a choice to do something, but you mark a death pip. Then it goes to the boar.
Remember me.
You go like so dramatic right off the bat. Remember, it's like Iron Giant or whatever. You're like, a little version, sad. Everyone else is like Deccan's like, I'm not gonna like let you die here. It's not. You don't have to be like that about it.
Yeah.
All right, let me see what I can do here
with the boar.
The boar comes around, charges around, goes, sees you here, Tadaka, and is going to use just its base attack, which does 2 damage.
All right, dope.
But just straight ahead of it is basically where it hits, so you take 2 damage. And then, yeah, that's where it's going. And then
you said we heal between all combats, right?
Yeah, so like you would have started this full health. Health is only a combat consideration. Even out of combat, if you were like, I want to try to jump this gap or climb this thing, and you failed your check, the damage if you're going to take damage, the damage you'll take is going to be in death pips, not in HP, effectively.
Yes.
Which it's all kind of weird. But really, Hunter, is me saying, I don't know how much I ever care that, like, did I take 2? Did I take 4 damage? It's kind of all just a measure of when do we need to long rest as a party. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of the same thing of me trying to be like, can I just make all these numbers smaller? I forget some of this stuff. Or, having the thing at the end of a fight where someone's like, we all heal at the end of fight anyway. Well, then let me just make that how it works. But yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I really appreciate that thought process.
It's mostly working out. It's ended up being more complicated than I thought. So.
Alrighty. If that is my turn, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move here. I'm going to use my archery powers to shoot an arrow into that boar. And then one damage,
right?
Yep.
Okay.
And then I'm going to use my remaining 2 movement to go here, and I'm going to face this away.
All right. Back to the top of the round. Tadaka, you have seen Golds struck down before you, chomped on his shiny metal ass like a wolf.
Help me.
What do you do?
Cool. Yeah, I feel like... Who goes after me? The wolf?
Yeah.
That's
don't worry about me.
How is it every round? What, I completely So every round he takes more pips?
Yeah. If he's down, and it's like, if in a normal game you would roll a death check or something, you just always take a pip. So if it comes back, and if Golds ends a turn where he's still down.
That sucks.
But
so here's the problem.
I can take 4 pips, though.
Now, I will say this is the advantage, though, is like if you do spend a heal and bring him up, he can't take 4. He can't take 3 with really no danger. It doesn't degrade his ability here. The other thing that's nice, though, is like, because Gold goes next, you could try to get him up, and on his turn, he will be able to go. But yeah, the wolf is still going to be there in between. So is the wolf going to take him back down, right?
That's right. We go through our whole list before they go through their list.
No, like the wolf is going to go next, then Golds. I'm just saying, if you heal Golds now, Golds will be able to act pretty soon.
Oh, so my thought, though, is if I heal Golds now and the wolf goes next, he's just going to get, it's just a waste of, if he hits him right in front of him, then.
These are the considerations.
Yeah, but he could take a shot or two and be okay. And if he's down and I'm out of the way, yeah, I'm going to be tactical here. So what I'm going to do, let's move over to stream. I'm going to go 1, 2. And I'm
because like your initial idea is still a pretty strong one. Like Canopy, speaking of going like, let's get this boar out of the base.
Yeah,
I agree.
And try to get the wolf away from Golds before I race over there and heal him.
Cool.
So I'm going to back. Yeah, I'm going to back flail the boar.
All right, 2 damage from the backstab again. Let me double check here. Cool. Yeah, you just smack it and it goes. Oh, it gets like knocked out against the tree. The boar's down.
Okay,
Let's
and then
go.
I'm gonna hide behind the tree again, facing away, so that hopefully they can't. Okay. Well, no, they can't get to me in any kind of backstab here. So I want to face the tree, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, like literally the way my group, right? I'm not gonna tell anyone how to play it. The way we play it is literally, it's like the world. You're like, I'm fighting you. It's like the room changes. It's like, no, you can't go out the door right now. We're fighting. Like there's an invisible wall here. So yeah, you can turn that way and be fine. Cool. All right, so then we go to the wolf. The wolf.
Who is
bite.
I'm gonna attack my corpse on the ground.
Just saying he can't. Just saying the wolf probably can't see me.
Like that bit in Princess Mononoke when Ashitaka is on the ground and like the wolf just comes up and just starts shaking his head.
Next his head. Yeah.
Yeah.
Solid reference. Not enough Princess Mononoke references flying around.
Yeah.
The best Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched it as an adult and I didn't realize how totally fucking dark it was because I watched a ton as a kid, like a ton. And I watched it as an adult and I was like, oh my God, why was I allowed to watch this? This is dark. I wonder I'm so messed up.
Yeah.
Let me see here what I'm doing. So it's gonna go 1. Yeah, I mean it's basically being like, but it can see Storm, so it's going for Storm. 3, 4. No, I would just come straight down here. And it's gonna do its base attack, which is just a straight bite right in front here for 3 damage.
Oh damn!
Munch.
I got fucking munched.
Then it goes to Golds, who takes a pip, sadly.
Ah.
Then it goes to Storm.
Okay. At this point, I am going to lunge for 2 damage, and then which will affect the wolf and just barely misses Golds. Thank God.
Hey.
And then I'm I'm gonna 1, 2, 3 my way up here and get my back against the tree.
Just being tactical.
Yeah.
Start of a new round. Tadaka.
Boom. All right, so I'm gonna Dodaka. I'm gonna 1, 2. Damn, I'm gonna be wide open for you, Golds, just so you know this.
Just make sure you turn back towards the wolf before you end your turn.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm wolf facing now, right?
We're not seeing the rotation.
I'm using the top of your little head, so like I would put you like this.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna lay hands on my boy here. Same kind of generic.
Eternal blessing.
Yeah. Anyone been watching the Solo Leveling anime? It's actually pretty good. It's gonna be like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it actually, so
it's pretty good. I don't know why the theme song sounds like a boy band from a Disney movie in the 90s.
It was an interesting choice for how dark the rest of the show is. Yes.
Yeah, it's terrible. But I'm gonna heal Golds for 2, and then I don't know if I'm allowed to do this if it's an action or not. Explain relationship points and how they're used in combat.
But you have to have a level first, and you guys don't have a level yet.
I have a level with Golds.
You have experience.
Oh,
RP has experience for it.
Oh.
How much experience do we get a level with each other?
Just 2, so you're almost there.
Damn. All right, well, I want to be all up in his business now in a very relationshipy way so that
Golds, my brother in arms. A very dramatic scene as you heal.
Cradle his head in my lap and like pet his head a little bit.
Yeah.
One tear drops down on his face.
Thank you, Father.
In my mind, it's like we're seeing that combined with how like dramatic Golds was being like, remember me. And then it's just cutting back to Lopespan on the side being like, like him being like, they're really taking this seriously.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to let them die. No.
The tear drops on the face and I put like one hand down and I'm like, I could never forget you. And then I drop his head onto the ground so it thumps and I take a step back with my back towards the tree. So what I would have loved to do if I had it, is this how it would have worked if I had a point for relationship though? Could I give him an action right now, or would that take my action?
Yes, that is once you have a relationship, levels of a relationship with someone, for each level you can use it once per long rest, basically to be like, I'm going to invoke Golds, my relationship with Golds, to let him do something right now. Yeah. So yeah, it's great for clerics, especially because you could be like, heal, run away.
Yeah.
Use your action to move, or you can be like, use your action to attack. Like, that kind of thing.
Well, so what I wanted to do was heal, and then he's 3 things away, so I figured you could do that loopity doopity shot. But exactly. Unfortunately, nope. We're not close enough yet. So there we are. That's me. That's Tadaka.
I got 2 HP. Woo!
All right, you are up. It is the wolf.
Can I turn my piece?
You cannot. Yes.
Can I turn him?
What the wolf do?
Spin his body around a little bit so as I move away from him.
Speaking objectively, the wolf could just go and backstab again right now.
Yeah.
It could. It could actually do that, I think, to almost everybody.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I'm trying to think in the mind of a wolf. I'm just going to roll. I'm going to roll something for it. All right. The wolf, perhaps not what our human brains would comprehend, but the wolf understands, is innately tied with the weave of Solara. I'm just going to say a bunch of things that sound like very fantasy RPG, and knows that Tadaka is going basically for the tried and true, kill the healer first, and is going to go run and charge through the middle of the group around behind you, Tadaka, and is going to base attack you for 5 total. 3 damage plus 2 backstab.
Is that with that's with the backstab and everything?
That's with the backstab, yeah.
So...
And then it's going to do the Princess Mononoke, grab you. Don't forget, if you have a shield, you can block damage with it.
Oh, fuck,
I don't think it'll be...
I forgot.
Might not be enough, but...
Yeah, so I'm at... Well, fuck me. So you said it's 5?
Yeah.
Is that enough to get you down?
So because that boar fucking hit me at the backstab, I'm at 3. And
Von
the shield only
was
blocks.
right.
Yeah.
You don't want to take a boar tusk to the backside in the middle of the middle of camp.
Well, we're only level, so it blocks CL damage. So we're
Just
level 1, so it's
damage.
just 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it won't make a difference.
You can both get better shields that do more. Like you could get, if you had the gold and you found it in the world, you could have a tower shield right now that does 3 times your level of blocking. And then you also raise level. So, if you're level 5 and have a tower shield, you could block 15 damage with it. But you weren't. You just have a little wooden shield. It's like the Bloodborne shield, the little and it just breaks.
Yeah, the one that engenders passivity, according to the thing.
Yeah, so I don't use my shield so it doesn't break, so just so people know I have a shield on my body. And the wolf just eats my ass, apparently, and I'm out.
I'm just down for right now. Golds, your go.
Nice.
You're up. You've been given life by your friend who just got chomped and is getting Princess Mononoke head chomped right now.
Well, I'm going to step 1 over, and then I will once again load up that, I pull out one of the slugs, the blue one that kind of glows. I'll load it in, I shoot it straight up, and I'll fire my Seeker shot for 3 damage.
Okay. So, really big hit, kind of sears into the side. You see where some of the fur burns off on the side of this thing, and it kind of looks over you and sneers. You definitely think you have its attention. It's very hurt though.
I sneer back at it, and then I'm going to. I moved 1, right? I moved 1. I'll move 1, 2 more. I'll use all my movement, put my back against a wall.
Find the rock there.
Turn.
All right, Storm.
All right.
Storm conflict.
What I'm gonna do? Boom. This away. I'm gonna turn and face the wolf real quick. I'm gonna fire a bow for 1 damage, and then I'm gonna back up 2 to here.
Takes a shot in. It kind of whimpers now, having looked at Golds, and looks over to you, over to Daka's slumped over body. All right, that's your go. So it goes to the top of the round. It would be to Daka, who, because you're down, you take a pip. Goes to the wolf.
Pip up here.
Which is double taking. Which one to go after? Rolling again. I can't embody roleplay a wolf brain. And is going to go for the most recent attack and is just going to charge over to you, Storm, for 3 damage.
Okay.
The basic bite.
In that case, I am down.
It's a close one.
Yeah.
Do you have a shield?
No, I do not have a shield.
Okay.
I spent all of my money on a bow.
Okay. Which has proven useful. All right. So then, Golds, you're now looking at 2 downed tacticians. Von Lopesbane is sort of steely-eyed, very like leaning forward a little, very intent at how you handle this moment.
I got counted the wolf's movement, so 1, 2.
I mean, this thing.
They've moved as far as 6.
I was going to say they have 6 speed at least.
There's nowhere I can move where it couldn't get to me, and I also can't move to where I could hit it with an attack. So I don't know. Let's do.
Yeah, with diagonal movement, it could literally move anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
No. This thing can, unless it's in the very corner.
Yeah, the only thing you
anywhere.
can do is corner. Yeah, that's great. That's beastie.
I think I don't know what to do, honestly.
You're in a tough situation.
It is a tough situation.
Who knew that wolf maulings wasn't great for students?
Yeah, it's not great. I think I'm going to only move there. And Yeah, I'm very limited on what attacks I can do, so I think that's
do you want to attempt, you don't have to do this, like a cockamamie scheme? You can do an aptitude check in combat. Try to do something. Do you have an item you want to use? Maybe like, I want to try to like kind of like lay a trap in front of me to do some damage. Can I like, I guess you're near a rock. You're not going to like cut the rock and knock it over or something, but.
So it's.
I don't really have, I have a sword and a shield, and that's pretty much it. So. I am.
Yeah, there may not be anything, because you are just from fledgling tacticians.
Yeah, so I'm going to play it like that. We'll see how. Where am I thinking it's going to go? Here. Hold on. Sorry, I'm counting spaces.
You're allowed. Allow it. Yeah, this is intended to be a very tough fight, not an impossible fight, but a very tough fight. And I will say you're extremely close. You might be like one hit point. You might be one health, one damage away.
I'm gonna stay right here. He can come get me then. If he wants it, he can come get
it. He most likely will.
But
yeah, he's a wolf. He's pretty
full health. So
pretty straight and narrowed there. So Storm, it will come to you, but you're down. Let's take a pip. Come to Dodaka, but you're down, so you take one. Goes to the wolf. Turns, stares down Golds, and just kind of like gives you like a wolf smirk. Goes like has like a little cloth from shaking Storm around, and is gonna run at you.
And that's game.
And its base attack is 3, so just 3 damage.
I don't have. I have a shield to block 1 of those damage, and then I have 2 HP left. So,
yeah, that's game. That's check.
Literally,
check
this is the closest this fight could have been with you guys still losing, because you use your shield. Even if you use your shield, yeah, you're saying you're still at 0.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The only different thing we could have done is if Storm backstabbed with the bow instead of doing the front shot and run away. I think it's the only thing that could have got us that 1 extra point.
If there had been a way, but I don't know if there was.
I didn't have the movement.
The movement. Yeah, you only have 3.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, because it's
all right. So, Golds, you go down, and Penelope lets out a little like a little signal to the wolf, and the wolf's like whimpers and comes over. Lopesbane comes over and it's like, well, it was quite a dense one. You're all asleep. You don't even hear this. You're all knocked out. Good try, I suppose, but, well, a little embarrassing, but at least they know the value of a tusk up the butt. And then he's going to picks you up, Storm, heals you, walks over to Dodaka, uses a healing touch on you, and same for you, Golds. And he deals like a ton, like you are fully healed. Like it's the most powerful healing spell you have ever felt, coming from a cleric of his caliber. And he's just like, well, good experience now rather than just being dead on the road, I suppose. But, you did a decent job with it. And it all came down to that tusk.
It hurt.
Very true. Yeah.
What lessons have you... What are your takeaways? How will this help you on the road, this defeat? Never let any defeat go unlearned.
We should always carry explosives.
That wasn't my takeaway, but that is a good takeaway. If you can find explosives, always carry them with you. What about the rest of you?
Shields are good.
Shields are good. I mean, if you need them, I just find that I can heal myself and others enough to not need them. But, starting out, it's always good to have a shield.
Mm.
And what about you, Mr. Golds?
Watch your booty.
What's your takeaway?
I think that's the other one.
Be faster.
Faster. That would almost always be helpful in life. So see how you find a way to do that. But, good work.
Ha ha ha.
You're getting out.
Thank you, Penelope.
So
and looks at Penelope, who like the boar comes up. She comes over. He heals them, walks off with them. Okay, so let me see. Where are we at on time? We're about 2 hours of stream. How much longer do we want to go or have to go?
I believe Hunter does have an out after.
I do have an out. So I drop in chat. I do have to go to my second job today. So
about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, in about 20 minutes? Oh, okay, sorry. I hadn't been looking at the chat. Cool. Then what we're going to say for the sake of this is, because we're in one-shot mode and just had a little chunk of time anyway. So typically when you lose a fight, you don't take XP. But I want you guys to level again. So we're going to say, because Decken walked you through his little, he made you all like sadly tell your lesson you would take away. You're going to get a little XP. So you all need to take 1 XP for this. And I do still want to do relationship. Typically, though, outside of this sort of like tutorial fights of this, you always also have the option to escape a fight. And that would be where someone can use their full turn to have everyone roll an alacrity check. And if more people succeed than not, you flee. If someone's down, they're automatically a failure, but they can still escape with you. They just count as a failure. So like in a case where it was just 1 of you left and 2 of you down, you're not going to escape. Like or if you chose to escape, it would be Golds runs off and the other 2 characters are dead. Yeah, so you could do that, but it would be a little brutal. So I do like the idea of you doing this in the field exercise, though. Golds just runs away. On Rogue's face, like, that's not a good sign.
Yeah. He runs into that little poop scooper from session 1. He's like, God damn it. Quick side note, though. Doesn't mean we can't do a second session sometime. Yeah. I'm super down. So if you want to continue, you're more than welcome. Yes. Everything is here for it.
Yes, I would love to keep playing. I'll say here before we like wrap things up for this also, because Decken is sort of talking you through this, professoring to you all. He kind of goes in on like the things he noticed. Like he really loved the seriousness with which Golds, you and Dodaka took this. Like he really felt that you were going to die out there on the battlefield, and appreciates that. So he's doing an in-universe version of my talking through the relationship points. So do you guys think there are any relationship points you should get?
I did nothing this whole battle, so
yeah.
I
you just say that, Decken's like, I can't argue too much. You did just kind of get chomped on, but sometimes being chomped on is important. Chomping on you, he wasn't chomping on someone else.
True.
I think I got a level. I think I got another XP with Golds, and wouldn't that give me a level 1?
Yeah, like designer brain, I totally think that part of the relationship thing that's fun is it's fun both. I want it to be fun mechanically, and I want it to be fun like role playing wise. Like just the fact if you want to be like you held his head in your hands and you heal him and are like, back to life, my golden knight. Like that to me is as worthy of a relationship point as like a wombo combo attack or whatever, right? So I think you guys should take an XP for that, an RP for that. What about Storm? Anything there? What do you think?
I feel like I didn't interact too much. I was, for the most part, I kept a little bit of distance, and that didn't really end up working out, I think.
All right. Yeah, my guidance in the rulebook says like typically there should be at least 1 point, sometimes more. A fight where like nobody really helped each other, though there might not be, but it really is meant to be pretty open. So because Golds and Dodaka are at 2 RP, you now have level 1 relationship with each other, which means in the next fight you would be able to invoke that. That's like a free action, like it doesn't take up. You could move, do an action, and use a relationship on your turn. And then that gives that other person a free action. Yeah. Really fun and valuable in my experience, especially at higher levels, because eventually you start to be like, if you're in a relationship level 4 with someone, that's 4 free actions you could give them. As many as you're willing to spend in the fight without having to rest. Now,
nice.
In the broader situation, you might be like, we know we're not going to be able to rest safely before we have other fights, so I might not use them all this fight. But still, it gives you some big options there. Yeah, and then I'll kind of narrate us into the next thing in case we do it too, and then we can stop there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drink out of my large medieval times.
Very cool
Glass that I brought just for the stream. And yeah, at this point, Deccan's kind of talking you through this. You're all maybe like, depending on how you feel, you might be a little annoyed. You might be a little tired from that fight. Annoyed with now I have to get lectured by the professor about this. But at this point, everyone's sort of starting to break for lunch. And they're bringing out like... Yeah, and this is like I said, this is a big event for the whole academy. So they brought out these big, long dining hall tables out onto the field. And they're like lining this up with a big sort of buffet of like little like finger sandwiches and little like, oh, it's like a, quail, roasted quail and all that kind of thing. Big piles of veggies for the Deccan von Lopesbanes of the group and the other herbivores, around as well. Both like cooked and roasted and just like, here's some corn, here's some ears of corn, just like not at all cooked or processed. The group kind of starts to come over and, everyone is sort of all around this area taking part in this. You all are able to eat, and the food here has been, you see like these clerics, these Solarian clerics are coming up and like, blessing the food, and also has this arcane sort of divine glow to it. And if you eat the food, it will heal you. It will recover 2 death pips for you.
Nice.
So sort of like particularly invigorating food.
I feel way less close to death now.
And yeah, there's just kind of like a happy moment. Like Von Lopesbane's out, like carousing around with some of the other students, the other faculty members. Everything there as well. Like, what does this look like for all of you? How are you pretty quiet on your own? Are you just sticking to your group? Are you walking around to other students? What does this look like after that? After that mixed emotions, maybe of the feeling and the victory over the army, but the defeat by the hands of the wolf.
I think Golds is fine. I don't think he really is like taking all like the loss in emotionally, if anything. I think he's sitting with a plate of food and like stabbing it and like putting way too large of chunks for a normal human mouth into his mouth, and it's just like open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close. Like
a nutcracker. I think Storm, she definitely has a bit of a bruised ego. She's just like, I don't want to talk about it. But did you see how I was able to take? We were able to take out those archers. Piece of cake.
Yeah, and like some other students nearby that you kind of have known in passing are like, well, what about the second fight? How'd the Beastmaster fight go?
Oh,
yeah, and you're just like
cakewalk.
Totally no need to focus on that.
Yeah, I think I'm around the same way. Just like we did everything we could, as best we could.
Yeah.
They're
fine.
Yeah, and it's similar experiences too. You feel like that. I mean, that has been pretty rough for most of the groups, especially depending on like their particular makeup and the abilities that they've specialized in. It's like some groups are like, oh, that wasn't a problem. Like one of them just stunned me. No, I just tossed my net on him. And the other guy, we just went and backstabbed him. What are you guys talking about? And then there's like a group of like 3 mages that were each like, we all took stupor. Like they all took like a condition effect and they couldn't do any damage and they just got chomped on or something all in one, in a few rounds. But yeah, that group, it's all being discussed as a group. 2, as the sort of lunch continues on. And then at a point you start to see, you or some other people, like attention sort of starts to turn to these 2 sort of growing shadows on the horizon coming from the north. And at first they look like maybe like birds, hawks, that kind of a thing, like just some bigger animal flying this way. But then they keep getting bigger and that silhouette keeps getting bigger. And pretty soon you can tell that these are griffins, 2 griffins, which griffins, like in I guess I would say it's like they're like halfway up the chain. If the level 10's max level, these are like 5. They're formidable, especially by your little, we just got chomped on by a level 2 wolf team, and almost all the people here as well. And they start to get closer and it's just kind of that little bit of like confusion. Like everyone's like, what's that about? And you see sort of this glint of sunlight as you can see that they each have this sort of bronze band. I wouldn't even really call it like a bracer, but it's over their front claw, like a, you know, around the wrist of their front claw. That probably all of you would know is like part of the Sky Riders, which is like the Empress's like elite guard, sort of like the King's Guard, right? Of Ahm. Now these don't have riders on them that you could see, but they start to approach closer, and you do see that glint, and it's like, oh, and the whole group is kind of like, wow, that's cool. Like a lot of students think that it's like a flyover at like a football game. Like, wow, they did this for us. But then as they get over, one of the griffins just paws, lets out this huge big screech, and they come down and start just tearing at the group, just sort of like picking up little tactician and tossing them, and like landing for a second and swiping and flapping their wings, like gush, you know, everyone's gusting back and smacking into the table with the food and everything. And Lopesbane, as they come down, is like, oh, what's this about? Starts to actually take his warhammer off for the first time, and just chaos breaks out. You see like the little like puny Imperial archers are trying to fire up, but there's some, you know, it's like sometimes they're not within range, and then other times it's hitting. The Griffin's just taking that whole thing off. All chaos breaks out. And just for the sake of our time here to jump to the next thing, Deccan goes up to sort of start to square off against this one, as more of the sort of professors and stuff are running from out of the academy, where a lot of people have gone back in to get food. And as he's squared up with one, the second Griffin takes off, comes up behind him, lashes onto his shoulders, starts flying away with him. And amongst this chaos and lunch and scream and stuff, we're just going to say all of you are kind of looking up at him swinging this warhammer around, this silhouette of this hippo man, limply swinging this warhammer, being carried away. And that's where we can pick up next time if we do one. You know, if we have more time, I'd be like, what do you want to do? How do you want to deal with this situation? I'm just kind of, we're narrating forward a little here.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah. No, that's sick. We gotta, I'm surprised that Griffin can pick up that portly hippo man.
They're big things.
Big Griffin.
Yeah.
They are, they're big. They're 2x2 on the grid, you know, in this case. So, yeah, if we played again, you guys would be level 2. So all of you hit level 2, so you would have been able to pick another ability. You could also multi-class if you want. So you know, basically you could be like, I'm going to take fighter level 2, take a second fighter ability, or you could be like, I'm going to take a level in rogue, so I have a real hard hitting base attack I could use, you know, that kind of thing. You can go into that as well, but you'd have your relationship to use, and then go from there. The next part of this adventure, since this is the adventure that's in the itch version, after sort of the chaos dies down and we see what's happening at the academy, it opens to you guys being on your own, since your professor's been taken, and you get to go out into sort of like a small open world. This is really designed to be like literally kind of like a tutorial adventure. It's like we have our tutorial fights. Now you all should feel pretty confident in how the combat stuff works here. And now we'd go into like, it's not a hex crawl. I mean, it is a hex map right now, but in the final it won't be. It's literally like the Final Fantasy Tactics map. It's map with its lines with pips, and each pip is a potential for there to be a random encounter. You have to use a resource.
No, it's a point crawl.
Point crawl.
Yeah, it's like a point crawl with little points in between.
Sounds sick.
But yeah, that's an early look at Tacticians of Ahm.
Love it.
But yeah,
I had a great time.
Yeah, I did too.
Very excited. I'll go for it.
I must ask, because I am interested in playing this some more. Is there a way to get more speed as you level up? Because I was oh, thank God, I was feeling.
Actually, that's a great reminder, because I'm in like time crunch stream brain. The two things when you level up is you take an additional level, which gives you an additional ability. It raises your aptitude bonuses as well for that. But then the second part of leveling is you choose to take +1 health or +1 speed. So you could actually take +1 speed right now if you want.
Oh, good to know.
Sick.
So yeah, you could choose to go up that. Like, do you keep that balanced as you level? Do you go all in on speed to be like, no one's ever escaping me on this map, but I'm kind of a glass cannon. I'm going to get dropped real quick. But yeah, so you would take that on level. But yeah, any other questions? Any other comments? I don't know how much time we have left. Feel free to just run me off the stream if we need.
Yeah, no, get out of here. So no, so you were previously here on the show on episode, just so people can go back and listen a little bit more. When were you here talking?
It was like 2-ish months ago, maybe longer.
Episode 130. If you want to hear more about Tacticians, we would love to have Christian back. So I mean, and we decide that if you come, and we're deciding that we would love to have you back so we can chase our hippo tutor down. I just want to say one of the things I love about Tacticians, because I got to play test this a while ago, then we got to play it again, is the gamified version like this. Like, there's a lot of games out there that like basically don't apparently like. There's a lot of. All right, I'm gonna not discourse. I like playing a game, and I like that this game is very permissive of being like, be gamey, like play gamey tropes, be tactical without trying to need to explain it in some meta way. Like, you can just have fun doing grid combat, doing the grid stuff without all of like the bonus stuff that's not great about 5e. And also like lean into like the funny bits, like, a boar tusk to the butt and stuff like that. I really like that it digs into the really fun little parts of gaming and the tactical parts without needing to explain why my character would like turn the back to the tree, because in the game that's the best thing to do to not get backstabbed. And I really like that it's very permissive, and not only permissive, encouraging of those parts of the game without feeling like it needs to be like simulationist. It's really fun for me. I like that a lot. So that's one of the things I enjoy most about Tacticians.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the. I think the idea of like an old video game save that's like dying and breaking is cool to me. But then that was part of it, is like, I want you to be able to. It's kind of supposed to be what the art for those old RPGs looks like. Like, the world is what. Not what it physically is, not pixely. It's like what it was supposed to envision. But I want that to be as much as you want. There's a section in the rules about that, of like, choose for your table how you lean into that. Like, you could have it be like Decken, the first time you meet Von Loopsbane, he's like, hello, I'm a level 8 cleric. Or you could have him be like, you could have that be obfuscated in the background. Like, they aren't that open about it, even in something like Final Fantasy. They're gonna say he's a member of the first class of tacticians. So you can be as like video game mechanics or just the physics of this world, or as not as you want, which I think is fun. And I think it's also fun to kind of do the thing you see, I think, a little more often in video games, which is like, you can be super serious one moment and you can be kind of jokey the next. But that's also kind of how I like to run fantasy. Like Yakuza, right? The Yakuza games are like that. It will be like the most dramatic Yakuza boss thing you've ever seen, and then the next guy is like a man in a diaper comes up and is like, will you help me find more diapers? And you're like, I like that dichotomy. So we
need to help the diaper freak.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was fun though.
So that, again, that has been part 1 of Tacticians of Ahm, because there will be a part 2. And again, check out episode 130 if you want to hear us talk about it a little bit more. Christian was on talking about the itch funding, why, the rules a little bit more, and things like that. So check out this episode and that episode, and we'll let you know when part 2 comes out of Tacticians of Ahm. But again, Stella, thank you so much for being here as always. Christian, really appreciate you being here as well. And that is us for today.
Thank you, everyone, for
we'll make sure all the links to everything is below.
My last little thing. Oh yes, Stella, you go for yours.
My final call to action. I run a gaming periodical called Red Solstice, released every solstice. If you have something small that you want to put that's like suitable for use at the table, I mean anything, be it monsters, small dungeons, factions, classes for games, like anything you want, I will publish it if it's good enough. You can find more information about it at redsolstice.itch.io.
Red Solstice rules, and I just today put on my to-do list that this will actually be the one I submit to.
Exactly.
I keep missing the submission.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. The deadline is in 2 weeks from now, May 1st. You gotta move fast.
Awesome. My last one was going to be saying that I'm trying to do monthly updates for the next update. I did delay the last one because of real life stuff. The next update is hopefully going to come out by the end of this week or the beginning of next week. which is going to add the beginning of the first chunk of the settings book, some more refinement of the rules additions there, and a little more refinement of what's out of the starter adventure. The price is also going to go up. So buy in if you want now at $20. You get all future versions, including the no layout, like Word doc looking version it is now, to the final one. So that's my last, I guess, that's my call to action is if you thought this was cool and you want to get in and help me fund more art, editing, layout, literally time for me to spend on it as a person who needs to live and pay rent, you could do that. That's all.
Do it. Do it now at this price before it continues to go up. And that is it for the game. We'll make sure all the links to everything we just talked about are in the chat, and we will see you next time, which will be like Thursday. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.